Am I the asshole here for doubting my marriage now that my husband admitted he's broke? I, 40 female, have a son from my previous marriage. After my divorce, I raised him mostly alone since his dad doesn't pay child support. Those years were hard, but I rebuilt my life. I focused on my son and my career, and honestly, I was very happy single. About 5 years ago, I met my now husband, almost 60 male, through work. He owned his own business. I wasn't looking for anything serious, but we clicked immediately. Within a couple of months, he was basically staying at my place all the time and eventually moved in, even though I wasn't comfortable enough. A year later, we were engaged. My son loves him and calls him Dad. My family and friends adore him, and he's always been kind and generous with us. We split our expenses in a way that worked for us. We paid rent 50-50, I handled the household bills, and he was in charge of food and entertainment, going out, activities, etc. Not long after moving in, he had to close his business, but he always reassured me that we were financially fine. Because he's near retirement age, I didn't push too hard. I assumed he had savings and things under control. For the last couple of years, he's been mostly a stay-at-home dad while I work full-time. He cooks, cleans, and supports me at home, which I appreciate. But over time, things started to feel different. When we met, he was very active, went to the gym, had friends and hobbies. Now he mostly stays home watching TV, doesn't exercise anymore, and doesn't really see friends or family. I've tried encouraging him to do things like volunteering, hobbies, or even part-time work just to stay active, but he has always brushed it off. We've also stopped going out together much. This year we've only been on 2 dates, both of which I planned. Then this Monday, he told me he is completely broke. His savings are gone, and the remaining money connected to his business is no longer available. What upset me wasn't the money, it was that he never told me that things were getting this bad. Now suddenly I'm responsible for everything financially, and our current lifestyle is honestly not something I can afford alone. I've always been transparent with him about what I can and can't afford. When I told him I was upset, he said he thinks I was fine before because there was money, and now I'm only upset because there isn't. But that's not how I see it. I'm upset because he hid the situation and never really tried to restart the business, find work, or even plan for the future with me, or that I had to carry all myself. He still hasn't done anything. I'm resolving this situation alone. Also, I have tried to speak with him before about how I was feeling prior to the big bomb, but I feel like he never truly listened to what I say. His response was, "I love you so much, I've never felt like this before, I'm so happy with you, I don't need anyone or anything else." I told him I want to see him as the partner and man of the house again, not just someone who stays home all day. I appreciate everything he does around the house, but I don't want to feel like I'm his entire world while he has no life of his own. At the same time, I feel guilty for questioning things now that he's struggling. Am I the asshole for being upset and doubting our situation? Edit. Just to be clear, I did ask him several times about the finances, but he always assured me that we were okay and he's got it covered. I never pushed to see his bank statements, and he was sort of covering his part of the agreement, so I believed in him. I assumed a man his age had it handled without me supervising every cent. Edit 2. Financials apart, I miss the partnership. Families go through hard times, but I don't like feeling like I have to sort it out myself when I was in the blind the whole time. He started as a great team player, and having the support was great. Not the money, the mental and emotional one. But everything changed, and I miss his masculine energy. I've been doing this by myself all my life. I wanted a partner for support, not to carry him as well. And again, it's not about the money, it's about everything else. Edit 3. We were a couple of months into a serious relationship, but we were together/dating before. So he moved in after the year mark. I was not comfortable, as for me, it was very important that whoever I was going to move in with, because of my son, it was with someone who was serious and looking for a long-lasting relationship, not just try and hit sort of thing. Before we got married, we signed a prenup as I've been clear that all I have is for my son and I don't want to jeopardize that. He was married before and has 4 kids, all adults now. He left the house to the ex-wife. He moved out and was looking at his own place when we started getting serious. That's why he said it's better to live with me and get our own place together. Yes, I've met the ex-wife and all the kids. We were actually quite close and they were so nice. The ex or kids never said anything weird. On the contrary, I noticed he was providing for them as well. In the comments, Sierra Grandma says, "Not the asshole." He has been intentionally deceptive for years and riding your back like a pack mule. He's using you as his retirement plan. Him playing out the "I love you so much, you are my everything" is him gaslighting and manipulating your feelings and playing mind games to keep his free ride. It's time for you to put your foot down. You don't need him. You wanted him as an add-on to your already stable life. Now he is a liability who is costing you more than just money. He is creating stress and being a financial burden to your life that will cause long-term damage. It might be time for an ultimatum that he goes back to work and builds himself a nest egg and is open and honest with all his finances and allows you to see them every month, or you won't have a choice but to file for divorce and he move out of your home. You have to put yourself and your son first and stay financially stable for your future. Don't allow him to play games. Be serious, be consistent, and follow through. It honestly feels like you rushed into this relationship when you weren't 100% on board with it. You mentioned you weren't comfortable with him moving in so soon, but you let it happen anyway. The dating, engagement, and wedding all happened super fast before you spent time getting to know one another. His finances definitely should have been a topic of conversation because now you're suffering. If he was honest from the beginning, planning better for the future would have happened. It's definitely not okay that you're now having to take over 100% of the rent and mortgage with no warning. Bills will now pile up and get behind. Being evicted/foreclosed on is a possibility. Putting food in the fridge will now become an issue. All these things add up. He's not doing anything to help, nor put your mind at ease that you guys will be okay. So of course you're stressing out. My suggestion is sitting down and having a real conversation. Put all of your bills on the table and see if you guys can put a plan in place. A closed mouth doesn't get fed, so it's time to speak up. It's not only your responsibility to get a plan in place. You would think him being almost 70 that he would have already done this, but that obviously isn't the case. I could even see if the relationship was more transparent when you first started dating and you knew ahead of time that this may happen, but that wasn't the case either. Where you messed up is not asking about his financial standing. You just assumed that y'all were good from his end. And now, on to the update. I'm surprised by the number of comments, but I appreciate the advice. I take responsibility for my own decisions or lack thereof. To clarify a few things, we have a joint account where he was transferring his share. However, we agreed to keep our finances separate. I didn't want him to know my financial situation or to manage my money, which I've been through. So I asked about his finances respectfully, and he provided as agreed. After all the comments, I decided to have a serious conversation with him and requested proof of several discrepancies. He got upset at first, but I stood my ground. It was either that or a breakup. We've only been married for a few months, and I'm not going to carry a dead weight. He's having issues with the IRS because his brother stole his identity and opened businesses in other states. There are other serious problems too, and I spoke with a lawyer, an accountant, and 2 exes of the brother. The brother is a lost cause. I was upset because I told him that I needed him to start fixing the problem, not just wait. He got upset when we met with a lawyer and accountant to create a plan. That's when I told him I couldn't continue with him on those terms. I understand he's going through a tough time, and I'm here to support him, but I can't take over his problems while he sits around. Either he takes responsibility and gets things done, or I'm leaving. It's not the money that bothers me, it's his attitude. Yes, I understand the age difference, and that it's normal for a stay-at-home dad to be responsible for household chores. However, this wasn't ever agreed upon. I never wanted a stay-at-home husband, and as I mentioned to him, I feel played. He pretended to be the kind of man that I've always wanted. Interesting, independent, intelligent, high masculine energy, and respectful, but he ended up being the complete opposite. He's very respectful, and we have an amazing relationship, but I'm feeling suffocated. So I gave him a month to find a job or a solution for our financial situation. He needs to return to the gym or a sport and hobby, make some friends, and have a life. I need to be able to spend time with my son, myself, and my friends without him. I'm also ensuring, with the lawyer, that this situation doesn't affect me or my son. I'll keep you posted to see if he actually did it, or if this is completely over. In the comments, Tassel15 says, "Not the asshole. If someone steals your identity, raise hell till it's removed from your record. Sue if you have to. I don't understand. Someone stole my identity so I have bad credit and IRS is after me? No. That shit would be corrected day one that I found out. My credit is frozen all the time. I can't even take a loan without unfreezing it. My credit's like an 840. I monitor that shit daily. Capital One, Citi, Chase. I go in those apps daily to pay off credit cards like they are debit cards and monitor my credit. I would know within hours if something was messed up. I have a budget app where I track all my expenses. I know exactly where my money is and what is going out. In savings, I have sinking funds for emergency fund, appliance replacements, and my next car. I swear there's so much tech nowadays to monitor your money, you can be a personal financial advisor with your money now. There is no excuse to be messy. How do you really know his brother stole his identity? Everything else was a lie. Well, most likely he gave his brother permission and now it's gone wrong, but he doesn't want to admit it. Oh my god, just get divorced. Or an annulment if you can. It is silly as hell to pull this, "you have 1 month to totally change the type of person you are, little mister," nonsense. This happened to me, and I said job or divorce, but it went on for years. Then I found out he told a friend that his dream of becoming a stay-at-home dad had been realized because apparently I was being paid so much. All of that was news to me. I work in administration and was stressed about paying the bills all the time. When we first met, we had the same hopes and dreams, but that all stopped after I gave birth. Now I'm going through a nasty divorce. Please don't be me, OP. I'm with everyone else on this one. Just fucking dump the man. Stop giving him extra chances. The fact that he met with you, with the accountant and lawyer, and was like, I don't know about all of this, that's a gigantic red fucking flag. Either he's complicit in it, or he doesn't care that his brother is really doing this to him. I am with the comments. Do not give him an extra month. Leave now while you have the righteous anger and fury because he is a fucking burden of a person. He is so old that this behavior will never change. This is who he is. It is ingrained into him. Be honest with yourself, OP. You are being delusional right now. You're not an asshole in this situation, but you are seriously warping reality thinking that your ultimatum will bring about actual change. He will change for 5 minutes and then go right back to what he was doing. Stop wasting your time. Our next post is by user Working Weight, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole here for refusing to help my cousin prove that we share the same father?" Based on the title, you can tell that my family situation is pretty crazy. I, 21 female, am technically a revenge affair baby. My dad, 47 male, was married to my aunt, 45 female, who was cheating on him with my mum's, 42 female, then husband James, 42 male. I'm not sure about all the details. I honestly don't really care to ask because, yuck. But during their mutual divorces, my mum and my dad had a fling which produced me. There was a DNA test, and after I was proven to be my dad's, he happily claimed me and signed the birth certificate. He didn't sign my cousin's Amanda birth certificate and went back to his other country. My dad has dual citizenship to avoid child support for her. Since she was born while my aunt was still his legal wife, he was presumed to be the father and James took off. Because of all the drama, my mum and I were estranged from my aunt and Amanda, so my aunt and Amanda thought for years that my dad had abandoned me too, when in reality, I took regular trips to see my dad in his mother's country, met most of his relatives, and can even speak the language at a high intermediate level. My mum made it clear that I was free to seek out a relationship with Amanda once I was old enough to drive, but warned me that there could be drama. I tried reaching out at 17, but she acted like she was so much better because she grew up in a two-parent household. My aunt remarried, while it was just me and my mum, and I washed my hands of it. We never followed each other on social media, and I never told my mum's side of the family about my other social media platforms, so I was able to keep my relationship with my father private until I guess Amanda, or someone Amanda knew, saw pictures of me with one of my paternal cousins online, and it set everything in motion. I didn't want to put in or maintain the effort to lie, so I made a long text message and sent it to a group chat with several members of my mum's family. Since my mum and aunt's respective marriages were a taboo topic, there was a firm "don't talk about it" mindset, so a lot of people just assumed that my mum was doing it all on her own, when really my dad was sending child support and having a relationship with me. Amanda and my aunt are now demanding that I give them my dad's contact info, his address in the country that he's in, and do a DNA test to prove that we are siblings and then take it to my dad. But here's the thing. 1. Amanda was formally adopted by her stepdad when she was 17. 2. I don't like the idea of giving my genetic information to a private company unless absolutely needed. 3. There's nothing stopping her from doing something like 23andMe to match with my paternal side. 4. My dad's side of the family knows about Amanda and they don't seem interested in knowing her. 5. Amanda is still being pretty awful to me, so I don't feel like doing anything to help her. So knowing all of this, am I the asshole here? In the comments, you don't owe Amanda anything. Block her and move on with your life. Not the asshole. Your father knows how to get in touch with his ex and Amanda. If he wants to know if she is his child, he can contact her. Stick to your guns. I agree with this comment, but I want to add that a child has a right to know who their biological father is. I think it's a bit shitty of the possible father to dodge this responsibility, but since Amanda has a loving stepdad, I don't see a problem. She has a loving family. But that does not mean that you have to help her in this endeavor. This is between them, and you stay out of it. And to be honest, if Amanda is this awful about you being raised by a single mom, then it's good that she learns to put work into getting what she wants, and not look down on people on assumed facts. And now, on to the update. Hello. Just wanted to give a quick update. May give one more depending on how this ends. If it ends. So here it goes. I told my cousin Amanda that she should do the ancestry thing to see who she matches with, and that I'd pass along her info to my dad, and that I was wiping my hands clean of the situation after that, before blocking her. I did pass along her contact info to my dad, and told him Amanda and his ex-wife, my aunt, their intentions. As well as the news that Amanda was formally adopted after the courts declared that my dad abandoned her. As of right now, my dad has no intentions on ever going back to the US for any reason, as he is a citizen through my grandma. However, he did check with his lawyers, and he basically told me that he'd agree to doing a DNA test on the condition that my aunt and Amanda sign a legal document absolving him of any child support that he owed before Amanda was legally adopted, and that Amanda will have no claims on any of his property or assets when he passes. My dad has made it clear that he is not overly concerned if Amanda and my aunt don't agree, but would prefer to settle this just in case of potential issues in the future. I also spoke to my paternal grandmother. Paternal grandfather passed away years ago, and she said that she's never liked my aunt, is glad that my dad left her with as little money as possible, and that she can't be expected to love and care for a potential grandchild she has never met. Given that my grandmother didn't even like me until I was about 3, this is in character for her. The rest of my father's maternal side seems to be of the same mindset and will only consider talking to Amanda once she can prove that she is related. In the comments, just FYI, if you're in the US, if Amanda's mother at any time before Amanda was 18 was using public assistance, it doesn't matter what she signs. The state will prosecute the dad in order to recoup that money. Since the dad refuses to go back to the US, that might be a moot point depending on the country and any treaties they have with the US. For reals. My ex-husband is in the US, but in a different state, and I had to register enforcement in his state in addition to mine to get anything moving. Still pending. Had NYS imposed a sanction up to and including incarceration, they would not extradite. So the aunt slept with her sister's husband and caused her child all this emotional trauma, and the maternal family is hounding OP because her mother and father made sure that she had a good relationship with the paternal family? The audacity of the aunt and cousin. OP played it right. She knew they would try to make it her problem. Right? The maternal family not immediately kicking the aunt out is, to me, very telling of the family dynamics here. One is definitely favored more than the other. If I fucked my sister's husband, my mother would disown me immediately, let alone protecting me and demanding that my sister somehow help me get child support from her husband. Don't forget the audacity of the entire maternal side, plus aunt and cousin, to be upset that OP and her mother have relationships with him and his side of the family while traveling to his home country. Not OP's fault, nor her problem that her father never returned to the US, and or his ex, on top of never acknowledging his ex's kid as his own ever since OP was a baby. Not saying father and her mother are good people, just pointing out that none of this was, and still is ever, for OP to resolve, nor even handle. Not when she was a child, and definitely not now as a grown adult. So OP blocking that mess after saying what she said to both the aunt and ex was the right call. And even then, OP still did way too much on their behalf when it was clearly never for OP to handle ever anyway. Just a whole shitstorm of a situation, huh? It's just like, so this guy was married to this guy, and then these other two were married and they were fucking, and then these other ones were fucking, and then the divorces happened and more people were fucking, and I was made, I'm the miracle baby. Oh my god. But yeah, like that comment said, this is not your problem to fix, and it's obvious that they're just trying to use you to get what they want, and you're aware of that, so good on ya. You're allowed to say no to a DNA test, of course. And you're not obligated to hand over your dad's details, especially after all the shit that Amanda said about you. If your dad wants to deal with it, he will. But I'm gonna guess he's not. Because he hasn't before, and why would he start now? If Amanda wants those answers, she has other ways to find them. You don't need to get dragged into this family drama that started before you were born. Not your circus, not your monkeys. Thanks for the update. Anyway guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.